black helicopters, invisible orbs, and a UFO that flies in and out of the Mesa. Okay, we've got to talk about episode 12 of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, season 4. Get in here, this is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, I wasn't going to continue my coverage of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. It didn't seem like the viewership was quite there, but after the events of the last few weeks, there's been some gangbusters stuff coming out, including a wormhole that has been detectable from the missing data, from the missing light that should be there but isn't, on a recent episode that shows this wormhole type structure, potentially, seemingly, over the triangle area of the ranch where a lot of this activity seems to occur and where they do a lot of experiments to try to probe the anomaly that is there. It wasn't long ago that they captured a blob-like anomaly that seems to have destroyed one of their rockets, very low, right over the triangle, like 30 feet up. So, so they're doing a lot of experiments there, and one of them captured this wormhole-like structure. And I don't think this is getting enough play. I really think that they're doing some really good stuff there. And so this is me giving Skinwalker Ranch some more play. A lot of people were turned off by the fly. And, I get it, but, fair weather friends. Everybody makes a mistake. Look at mainstream news. They get stories wrong all the time, and sometimes deliberately so. But let me go to my notes here. Yeah, so don't abandon them is my suggestion just because they got one thing wrong. Look at the totality of the evidence and what they're doing there. That would be my suggestion. But yeah, let's get into episode 12. I'm just referring to my notes that I wrote down while I was watching. Yeah, to start the episode off with, we've got black helicopters. That's right. These appear to be two Chinook military helicopters, like transport helicopters. Heavy-duty things. They're buzzing the ranch and kind of doing some sort of survey or something. It's hard to tell quite what they're doing. But Brandon Fugel comes in, the owner of the Skinwalker Ranch, and he has a meeting with the guys there, Travis and Eric and the others. And they get the Attorney General Reyes on a Zoom call, on a remote call, and they tell him what had happened because he had helped them last time get to the bottom of some black helicopters, and it was actually able to identify the military base that they came from, although no other information about them. And they did come from a very nearby military base, and in that case, they seem to have prior knowledge of what the gang was going to do, or what the anomaly was going to do at Skinwalker Ranch, and they were there to monitor or safeguard. It's hard to tell what they were doing. But anyway, so Brandon and the Attorney General and the others are analyzing the information and the footage of the black helicopters, the Chinooks that appeared this time. Brandon notes that their backs are dropped and that they seem to be doing a survey. They appear to be special ops or something. The helicopters are unmarked and are cloaking their identities. They flew over real hot spots of the property, like the triangle in the east field where they detected that crazy column structure, invisible to the eye, that appears to be maybe some artifact of a wormhole or something. And the Attorney General vows to do what he can to get to the bottom of it, so we'll see if he's able to dig up anything. Maybe he can at least see if this came from these helicopters came from the same military camp as the last ones. That would be interesting. It'd be interesting if they were coming from different camps. So that was the end of that briefing with the Attorney General and Brandon, but Brandon is still on the property, and they launch a series of rockets over the triangle, and they shoot rockets going up, and they shoot rockets going to the side. They're really trying to get more data on the shape of this wormhole thing, and they're also, of course, trying to stimulate activity. And nothing really happens for a while. They keep shooting rockets up and nothing is going on. Brandon's brother Cameron is flying around in the helicopter, but again, not much is happening until that night when stuff starts to go down. And a UFO shows up. It's very similar after analysis to the one that appeared last year, right when the rocket blew up over the triangle, and that's right when the black helicopters appeared last season. So very interesting. Later up in the triangle, Cameron sees orbs. He's up in his helicopter and he has this night vision goggles on. Nobody else is wearing these. And he's able to see these small UFOs that appear to be whipping by the helicopter. So much so that he's tempted to go into evasive maneuvers. But upon reflection, he realizes that actually the UFOs seem to be stationary. It's just the helicopter is going 40 knots, and they are, they appear to be going 40 knots, but they're really just standing still. But still, he saw them as a hazard to what they were doing. At the same time, Eric is getting these crazy radio signals on his computers, just going nuts, and a lot of RF noise. It's just really weird. And they can't make any sense of it. Is it jamming? Is it some artifact of these little UFOs or the big UFO? It's hard to judge size, but yeah. So something is going on with the radio, and all of a sudden, all of the occupants of the helicopter, Brandon, Eric, Cameron, and Caleb, start feeling a clenching in their chest, a compression. As Brandon says later, they felt a dark, foreboding feeling. Caleb said the hairs were standing up on his neck. It was just this dark, oppressive, scary feeling that even seemed to have physical effects. And they get freaked out and they start taking the helicopter down. And when they lower elevation past a certain point, the feeling goes away. So very interesting. I don't know what was going on there. Was that the phenomenon trying to scare them off? Was that some unintentional side effect of those orb things? Let me know what you think what was causing the heebie-jeebies in the comments below. They all seem to be having it, which is really interesting. Later in the command room, they review the footage, and Eric shows them another UFO that appeared, not the little invisible orbs that, I say invisible, but they were only invisible on infrared. But invisible to the naked eye. But this UFO that Eric has found on the footage that he was going over was not invisible to the naked eye. It was a bright, luminous object like so many UFOs are. And it was really interesting because it vanished behind the Mesa. And as it did vanish, there was a light right below it reflected up from the Mesa, or some energy coming up from the Mesa. And this is really interesting because this is right at the point in the Mesa. If you have seen the previous episode where the Native Americans were doing their drum ceremony and their drum circle, and actually were able to stimulate activity on the Mesa. And that was when two UFOs, very luminous craft, swept behind or into the Mesa, right at that spot. So is that particular spot a doorway or an opening into whatever is under there? That is really, really intriguing. Or is it something about the energetic signature of that particular place? Or is it just a coincidence and they just fly in and out wherever they want to fly in and out? But that's not the end of the story, because Eric finds another UFO, and this one's coming right out of the Mesa. Only it's not another UFO. It's the same UFO. Seemingly, you can see it going along the Mesa, going into the Mesa, going into the land itself, and then popping out again in what seems to be a straight, trajectory of some sort. Well, I mean, it curves, but it seems to be the same ship going at roughly the same speed, just popping out at a different point in the Mesa. We talk about transmedium objects sometimes. Usually we're talking about going into the water. but sometimes they go into the land itself. And in my first UFO sighting that happened over a year ago, right around a year ago, that's what I saw, was an object going into the land. It was very fast. It was much faster than the one caught on camera here at Skinwalker Ranch. It was just like a bullet. And it was so fast, it was like, if you've ever seen wartime footage and you see just one frame of a bullet being fired out of a gun, the camera can catch just like one frame and you can kind of see the bullet flying through the air. Well, that's what it was like with me. That's about how, it was a little bit, it wasn't just one frame, but it was extremely fast. And I don't think I was meant to see it, unlike my second UFO, which sometimes I think of as my first UFO, because that first sighting was just so quick. But it was, and it appeared in my vision. Maybe I was driving down the road at night in a rural area, and this thing appears about 100 feet in the air, just going super, super fast, and straight into the ground, again, about another 100 feet off of the road. And I don't think I was meant to see it. It just was like that. If I had blinked, I would have missed it. But I didn't blink, and I saw it. And it was solid enough for my eyes to fix on. It wasn't a glare off of the windshield or anything like that. So I think I'm just going to, in my own mind, and for future videos, refer to that as my first UFO sighting, because I think I have become comfortable with the fact that it was a UFO. It was just so weird and so fast, and went right into the ground. But I've come across more and more of these sightings of UFOs going into the ground, and that seems to be what they encountered here at Skinwalker Ranch. Is a UFO went into the mesa on one side and out on the other. I love it. I love it. It's crazy. And that's about it for this episode, but a really interesting episode. Got some cool stuff going on. Got UFOs going in and out of the mesa. We got invisible UFOs that caused a foreboding feeling, a dark foreboding feeling. And of course, we've got black helicopters pointing at some continued government involvement or surveillance or monitoring or whatever of the ranch. What are they doing? If the government was so interested in this ranch, why didn't they just buy it? I don't understand, their motivations for doing exactly what they're doing. I guess it's interesting enough to keep note of and to be aware of and to safeguard against or whatever they're doing, but it's not quite interesting enough or important enough to buy. Or maybe there's just no point in buying it, or maybe the beings that are there don't want the government to buy it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Why does the government continually monitor the ranch, or even possibly interact with the ranch in some ways? Again, if they were so interested, why not just buy the ranch, right? It was up for sale a few years ago. Maybe Bob Bigelow wouldn't have sold it to the government, but eminent domain and all that, right? So anyway, interesting stuff. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. And if you've seen the episode, let me know what you think. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love it if you would join me there. And if you could share this video on social media, that would be super helpful. If you wanted to support the channel in a bigger way, you could become a channel member. There's also a PayPal link below. Or heck, I'm a science fiction and fantasy author. If those are the kind of books you like, there is a link to some of my books in the description below. There's plenty of other videos to check out on the channel, and I'll see you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.